Welcome to the Hanna Show, where business, as usual, gets a swift kick in the ass. If you're tired of the same old advice and ready to disrupt the status quo, you're in the right place. I'm cutting through the noise with bold strategies, unfiltered truths, and a no-nonsense approach to entrepreneurship, video marketing, and content creation. Buckle up, because it's time to level up, stand out, and dominate your market. This isn't just another podcast, it's a wake-up call for entrepreneurs and would-be aspiring solopreneurs who are all in. Let's get started. As someone who's recorded a lot of different video content, I've seen people use it effectively. I've seen people leverage it in ways that have been able to take it to the next level and to really transform their business or their personal brand. But I've also seen businesses use video and content creation in general in a way that hurts them. And there's mistakes that I've seen some businesses make, especially small businesses, that I really want to talk about here today. So here's a stat that I want to start with that I think explains why so much content quietly just underperforms. Over 80% of small business content fails to drive meaningful results, not because it's bad, but because it's disconnected from a clear message or system. That's from SEMrush. See, most businesses aren't doing content wrong. They're not. They're just repeating the same small mistakes over and over without realizing how much those mistakes compound, especially in local markets like Windsor, Essex, where perception and familiarity matter more than flashy tactics. So here's mistake number one: treating content like a side task. This is by far the most common mistake. Content gets treated like something you do when you have time, when you squeeze it in between real work, something you'll get more serious about later. The problem is, content done casually looks casual. Inconsistent posting doesn't just slow growth, it signals uncertainty to your potential prospects and clients. People don't consciously think this, they just, feel it. Mistake number two is trying to sound impressive instead of clear. Many businesses fall into this trap. They use buzzwords, vague marketing language, polished phrases that sound good but say absolutely nothing. Clarity beats cleverness every time. The businesses that win are the ones that explain things simply and confidently, not the ones trying to sound like national brands. People trust ultimately what they understand. I'm reminded of a video session that I did with somebody who didn't really want to follow any of my advice. They just wanted me to show up and record them. And all they used was scripts for their videos. And they really focused on their tagline. Every video they wanted to have taglines and sound a certain way. And to me, it came across disingenuous. It came across too branded. And really, I felt like it didn't come across as really sharing who they are, what they did, what they stood for, who they helped. And when it was all said and done, we edited the videos and visually they looked good. I struggled with it because I didn't think that the content would perform. And I was treated like a videographer, so therefore I acted like a videographer in this instance, just giving the footage and letting them post it. And they posted the content, and in fact, I call it they spammed the content out because they pumped out all these videos so quick, so fast. And then they saw me months later and they said, hey, the videos didn't do anything for me. Videos don't work. I'm like, no, videos work. And the system we have works. You just didn't want to follow it. And you just cared more about your slogan. I've not done any work with that person since. And it's been kind of icy every time I've seen them now. But at the end of the day, they made mistakes. They tried to sound impressive instead of sounding clear. Mistake number three, I think, is that some people just create content for algorithms instead of people. Trends come and go, and audiences change, formats change, platforms change. Your audience doesn't. So if you build your content around chasing reach instead of building familiarity, I think it becomes fragile. What works long-term is answering real questions, repeating your core message, sounding like a human talking. Algorithms reward consistency. People reward clarity. And by that, I mean, don't chase trends. Yes, you could gain maybe some followers and a lot of views maybe for sure if you do some trendy videos, but it doesn't mean it actually turns into business for you. Another mistake I think that people make is that they post without a bigger picture in mind. You know, when content isn't connected, the messaging feels scattered, positioning feels unclear, and nothing reinforces anything else. Effective content, it repeats themes, it builds on itself. Without that repetition, every good post loses impact. Like, have something that weaves it all together so it feels not disconnected. Another mistake that I've seen that honestly frustrated me with some of either past clients that I've worked with or even some current clients is that they let content depend on motivation. You see, content strategies rely on maybe feeling inspired, having energy that day, or being in the mood. Those are not the right strategies, and they eventually collapse. Motivation is unreliable. Systems are not. And the businesses that stay visible remove emotion from execution entirely. So I've seen it where people have been posting consistently, or we've been posting for them. Then they decide they're going to take a pause. They take a pause and then they start inconsistently showing up, not showing up as often. And then they're wondering, wow, we seem to be going through a lull and we're quiet. So then they start trying to feverishly post on their own again and try to pump out content, and they're trying to catch up because now they feel like they're starting from, really step number one. And I'm like, you know what? That is the case. When you stop and start and only do it once in a while, or when you feel motivated, it hurts. That's why we advocate you should batch record your content and then schedule ahead so that you're always showing up. The other mistake that I see often is trying to do everything yourself. Look, I get it. Trying to save money. DIY content feels responsible till it isn't. At some point, doing everything yourself slows consistency, it drains focus, it caps your growth. The mistake isn't doing content yourself early on. The mistake is refusing to evolve how it's handled as your business grows. I have seen people, or I've worked with people, I should say, who decide they're going to batch create raw content in our studio, which is perfectly fine. It's one of the offerings we have. You can come in for 90 minutes, really inexpensively, and walk out with footage same day, anything that you record. And they say, I'm just going to edit it myself. And then they come back to me saying, wow, that was really difficult, and that took me way more time than I should have just paid you to do it. And of course, in my head, I'm like, duh, that makes perfect sense. But people like to waste time and their own money. And I don't think that people value their time. Because, getting us to do the full package versus you trying to do it yourself is always going to be more effective. The other mistake that I think is really important to highlight here as well is that some people treat content as optional. And I think it's one of the most expensive mistakes you can make right now as a business owner in 2026. Sometimes content is treated as a nice to have, something to pause, during busy periods, something to pick up back later. In reality, content is how businesses stay visible when they're busy. The ones that stop posting when things get hectic, honestly, I find are the ones who usually pay for it later on. These mistakes are so common in today's world, and they don't come from laziness. They come from trying to make content fit into a system and a world and business that was never designed for it. If content is unstructured, unsupported, owner-dependent, mistakes are inevitable. If you fix the system, most mistakes will disappear. Businesses that avoid these mistakes, they do things a little differently though, right? They batch create their content, they simplify decisions, they repeat the core messages over and over again, and they remove daily execution from the business owner. They don't try harder, they make it easier. That's the difference. I find that the businesses that are winning in Windsor, Essex, they don't do anything flashy. They just show up consistently. They sound like themselves. They explain what they do clearly. They stay visible even when they're busy. Content works when it feels, I'm going to call it boring to create and familiar to the audience. Most content mistakes are not dramatic. They're small, they're quiet, and they compound over time. The good news is once you're aware of them, it's so easy to fix them. And when the system works, content stops feeling fragile and starts doing what it's supposed to do, which is quietly building trust while you run your business. If you want a system that's going to work for you, you want to batch create content so that you can consistently show up with ease without the extra effort, to have it done for you, to really run on autopilot for you, visit us at allincontent.ca. Book a consultation. We'll see if we're a good fit, because it's about fit ultimately, right? For you, for me, to make sure that we can work well together, that we can support you, be your voice, help you share your message over video, and ultimately help you win.
All right, that's a wrap for today's Dose of Reality on the Chris Hanna Show. If you're fired up and ready to kick some serious ass, then I've done my job. But remember, knowledge without action is just wasted breath. So what are you going to do? Sit around and let opportunities pass you by? Or are you going to step up and take what's yours? The choice is yours, but don't expect sympathy if you choose the easy road. If you've got value from today's episode, smash that subscribe button, leave a review, or share it with somebody who needs a wake-up call. Don't keep this gold to yourself unless you're afraid of a little competition. Stay bold, stay hungry, and remember, always go all in. Until next time, this is Chris Hanna signing off. Now go out there and take what's yours.